Welcome to All Things Moore County, Moore County's weekly radio show highlighting the many facets of the Sandhills. That includes real estate, lifestyle, community and neighborhoods. And now from 4 Properties, here's your host, Bill Sahadi.
Good morning. Welcome to the talk show, All Things Moore County. Dorothy, before we get rolling into election season, which is just a couple of weeks away.
Yeah, it's right around the corner.
Yeah, and this year has gone so fast.
No kidding.
So here we are in October,
Okay.
and it's, that time of the year before we gear up for the holidays.
Yeah, they're right around the corner, too.
Yeah, we start to look back on the year 2019, and we reflect a little bit, and we see where we've been and where we've come, and where we're going. And we have an event that we're going to be talking about today, which is the Man and the Woman of the Year event, which is going to be held next week on the 24th of October. And as important as the event and the people that are going to be honored, we've got 3 really distinguished guests who are here. Andrew Lyons, who is a senior vice president of First Bank, who has been a past guest on the show. I guess for a couple of different reasons.
That's right, Bill.
You were here once with Patrick Coughlin.
That's right.
Way back when. You've been here talking about some of the educational activities.
That's right, through the Public Education Foundation.
That's right.
A couple shows on that.
And
Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader?
That's it.
That's right, yeah.
And there was another, there have been a couple. I mean, you've been one of the frequent guests on the show.
Well, it's always good to be here. It's good to see you, Bill. And
yeah.
I was so pumped up, I went and got a haircut just for the occasion.
Did you really?
I did, yeah.
This is the guy that liked Jethro Tull. That's his favorite music group, right?
Well, that was, you pinned that on me early on, yeah. That's right. I think it was Teacher that you played with the Public Education Foundation.
That's it, Teacher.
That's right.
You remember. To Andrew's left is a friend, a well-known attorney, Frank Thigpen, of Thigpen and Jenkins here in Southern Pines. I've known Frank pretty much since I started here, Frank, in 1999. And all through the years, we've had occasion to work together and get involved in different events. It's just good to see you in this venue. We had your granddaughters on in January. Not that you're too proud of them, but they did a great job. Probably going to do better than you.
Absolutely, they're going to do better than me. But thank you, Bill, for having me here today. But meeting you in 1999 was one of my fortunate days in life. You're such a good friend, and you are such a good friend to everybody else. So thanks, Bill.
Well, we, in 2006, you and Lynn came to the party that we had at Mid-Pines for my mom when she came down to visit from New Jersey. Little did I know, 6 months later, she would have been diagnosed with stage 4, and that next April, she was gone. But we still have pictures of that. And when I told your granddaughters about the pictures, one of them now is a freshman at UNC, and your other granddaughter is a junior at Pinecrest, or senior?
Senior at Pinecrest.
She's a senior. All they wanted to do was see pictures of you and Lynn. But you've got a great family, and they're very active here in the community.
Your mother was a beautiful lady.
She was. She got her looks from me. Huh?
She got it.
I was the toughest kid for her.
I have to ask Andrew to answer that one, maybe.
I was the oldest of 4. I was the toughest of 4 kids. And every Mother's Day, I would say to her, Mom, you should get me a gift. And she'd go, what? I said, because of me, you became a good mother to my siblings. I helped train you by being so difficult. And she said, you're just fresh. and I was.
Can we interview your sister?
Yeah. And we're also being joined by Russell Suggs, who's a wealth advisor at First Bank. And Russ, you actually are spearheading an event that is coming up next week. And I guess my characterization is that by this time of the year, we're taking stock of where we've been, where we're going. And I'd love you to talk a little bit about the event that's coming up and the people that are being recognized.
Well, thank you, Bill. It's a pleasure to be on your show. And It's also a pleasure to be the president of the Moore County Community Foundation. A lot of people know us, but then there are a lot of people out there that don't. And so it gives me an opportunity today to talk to your audience about what all we're able to do. And this is our biggest fundraiser of the year.
Okay.
It's the time when we honor a woman and a man of the year for what they do to improve and better Moore County. And we've had some terrific honorees in the past. This year, our Woman of the Year is Friesen, and our Man of the Year is Hugh Bingham, two wonderful people that really put their heart and soul into this community. But what I'd like your audience to know is Moore County Community Foundation is a nonprofit associated with the North Carolina Community Foundation. And this past year, we gave out grants to 31 Moore County charitable organizations that totaled a little over $107,000. And it's just a wonderful opportunity for us to add to our funds with this event. So we really focus heavily on it. Our biggest benefit are the grants that we put out into the community. But to have people of Ann and Hugh's caliber to honor really says a lot about the people that we honor and that we recognize as part of the greater Moore County community. And those people out there oftentimes aren't recognized because they fly under the radar. They don't seek recognition.
One of the things in the 10 years I've been privileged to do the show, we've always said that Moore County is a great place to live and raise a family. And we've had the opportunity to see a lot of people come through this room to speak. Ann Friesen has been a frequent guest on the show, it's nice for me to hear that some of these people are being recognized for the work that they do, and they fly under the radar because there's no ego involved. How long have you been? Are you a Moore County resident, native?
No, I'm originally from New Bern, North Carolina, and came here in 2001 with Wachovia Bank, and
that's right.
Then came back again when Wachovia was taken over by Wells. It was a choice that I made not to continue to work there, and First Bank gave me the opportunity to do their high net worth wealth management basically for the entire state. So I do travel around for the bank, and I see all the things that First Bank does, not only in this community but throughout the state.
Yeah, so you came here in 2001.
Yes.
Andrew, you came here from Northern Virginia in 2005?
2007.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, you're pretty good.
Not bad, right?
That's exactly right.
What brought you to Moore County?
Well, I came here for a place to raise my kids, first and foremost. And, sort of a funny story. We knew we wanted to move here. I just had to get a job. And so as soon as I could get a job, we'd put the house for sale up in Alexandria and moved down. And so about 12 and a half years ago, I sat in a room at First Bank. Charlie McWilliams had just retired, and I sat down with a man named Hugh Bingham. And I will tell you that I probably should have done a little bit more homework about First Bank and all of that. But I walked away and said, if everybody at this bank is like Hugh Bingham, I want to be a part of it. I mean, it was like talking to a lost friend who you hadn't seen for a while. First time I met him, we sat for an hour, and I didn't realize at the time how blessed I was to have gotten the offer to work there, and proud to have been there for the last 12 years.
You know, Frank, in the 10 years we've done the show, we've had occasion to have Andrew on, but we've had other guests on that have nothing to do with First Bank. And we have a lot of nonprofits that come on, and we have a lot of people that come on that try to make Moore County a better place to live. And honestly, if I had to keep a tally of the number of times First Bank has been mentioned at this table without anybody from the bank here, there would be nobody in second place. First Bank really is exemplary in terms of their community service. They're a fixture here, and I swear as you go down Broad Street in downtown Southern Pines, if you saw the movie It's a Wonderful Life, it kind of reminds me of Bedford Falls, the town that movie espouses. And the neighborhood bank and the feeling and the setting, it's like out of a Currier and Ives postcard. And you've been here. I know you're not a native, but
yeah.
you know First Bank as well as anybody.
47 years I've dealt with First Bank. And the thing you like about First Bank is, just like the two people sitting with me who work for First Bank, you get to know the people.
Right.
You're not calling a Watts line number in Arizona to find out something that you're not going to get a reply. You can walk in the bank, and they're waiting for you. And when you walk in, you feel like, God, they know me. They want to help me. And Andrew mentioned Hugh Bingham, and I've done a little research on him since I'm going to speak about Hugh in a few weeks. But that's what everybody says about Hugh. He is one loved person.
Yeah.
Because I talked to a guy this morning who told me that he met him because somebody down in a county south of us mentioned, go see Hugh, because he felt like the bank he was dealing with was treating him like a stranger, even though they dealt with him for years. So he walks in Southern Pine's office of First Bank, and he meets Hugh, and he said within 5 minutes, I felt like I'd known him all my life.
Is that right?
And he said, I felt like he wants to help me. And somebody told me recently about Hugh, he said, you know, when you go to see Hugh, you leave feeling like he wants to help you fulfill your dream in life, because you're borrowing money from First Bank, and he does all the work correctly, but he makes you feel like a friend. And I don't think he makes you, he becomes your friend.
Yeah.
There's nothing fake about Hugh Bingham.
Right.
What he appears is what he is.
Right. Very genuine guy. It's really funny. 10 years ago when we did our very first show, one of the guests that was on the show was Victoria Spanis. You mentioned Russell.
Mortgage broker at Wachovia for a long time.
That is correct. And the other guest on the show was an attorney in Frank's office, Kirsten Foyles. And when I I sit here and I listen to Frank talk about Hugh, I've only been here since 1999, but we all get to form our own relationships, and we form our circles, and we start to get a perspective after 10 or 15 or 20 years here. And your perspective, Frank, on Hugh is very poignant, because I think a lot of people feel very much the same way. And he flies under the radar, doesn't he?
He really does.
Doesn't he?
Yeah, he doesn't take any credit. Most people like that, Bill. You know that they do it because they want to do things.
Yeah,
they're not asking for any accolades.
It's one of the things that has always drawn me to this area. Love living here. You can really get to know people in a very short period of time, and then you get to know them in a very personal way. And it's not an urban area. You can't hide out and go to another neighborhood in Atlanta and go have a cup of coffee. So you see people wherever you go. And so it becomes very personal, and it's eyeball to eyeball, right in your face all the time. Yeah. So, Frank, you've known Hugh since he arrived?
How I discovered Hugh was a guy
You
named
discovered
Jimmy
him.
Garner. I discovered him because Jimmy Garner interviewed him and hired him 15 years or so ago. And Jimmy told me, he said, Frank, I've met a guy and I've hired him, and you're really going to like him.
Uh-huh.
He said, first of all, he's a United Methodist, which I've been all my life. And then he said he played football at Duke. Well, of course, I'm a UNC guy, but I accepted that. And then he said, you're going to feel like he's your best friend.
Yeah.
And what Jimmy predicted came true. He did play football at Duke, but he is, as we said earlier. One interesting fact about Hugh is I talked to a guy this morning who was been a good customer of his, and he said he got to know him so well. He said, Hugh, why don't you come out fishing at the farm? And he said Hugh showed up a couple of days later, the day they planned to. And when he got out of his truck, he had this box or suitcase-looking thing. It was a big, I guess, all of his fancy tackles. But he said, we got in the boat, and we went out fishing, and he said, I was using my old pole, and I was catching one right after another. I looked back at Hugh and said, Mr. Bingham, have you caught anything yet? And he said, no. And that kept going on. And finally Hugh said, hey, Vern, can I have your pole to fish with? And it worked out good. But that's an example of it. But Kirsten Foyles, you know,
Yes.
I certainly pushed as hard as I could for her to go with First Bank, and she loves working with First Bank. And you can see her on the street. I saw her this morning at Starbucks, and she's an attorney with them. But that's another example of community.
So there's an article that was just printed on the front page of the recent edition of the Pinehurst Gazette that I had written when I worked with Kirsten on the sale of the castle. And it was for the North Carolina real estate bar. And we just posted it because she was the inspiration for that article. And most people don't inspire me to do something like that, and I did, and it had her name kind of all over it. And now you guys have her at First Bank, and I'm jealous.
Oh,
No,
very
we're
lucky to have
jealous
her.
too,
Yeah.
'cause
Huh?
we had her working with us.
I
as
know.
an excellent real estate attorney for a few years. We were blessed.
When she left, and I said, "What about me? How can you do that to me?" We're going to come back in the second set. This is All Things Moore County, and we're going to continue to talk about First Bank, the Man and Woman of the Year event sponsored by the Moore County Community Foundation. We'll be right back.
Just an FYI.
Yeah, for sure. Welcome back. We're back. We're back. This is the second set of All Things Moore County. Too much talking during the breaks. That's good. That's all a good sign. We're talking about the event sponsored by the Moore County Community Foundation coming up on the 24th of October, honoring the Man and Woman of the Year event. And it just brought to my attention, Russell, that last year's recipient of Man of the Year was Bruce Cunningham.
That's correct. So we were very fortunate to honor him.
Right. Yeah, that was very fortunate. And for those who don't know, Bruce passed in July. I think it was the 4th or the early July. He was in Ireland.
That's right.
And he had I guess he had a resume here that was unparalleled for his dedication to Southern Pines and to Moore County in general. How do you pick? Tell me about the selection process. How you select the people who are going to be recognized.
Well, Bill, we meet 4 times a year, which is not a lot for most organizations. And one of our meetings is to determine who we want to have as our Man and Woman of the Year. We have our members, and there currently are about 17 board members that are all very instrumental in the county. A prime example would be Blanche Carter, who was just honored. She and her husband were just honored for all they had done for education. We typically have board members that fall into that type of category. What we ask is that each member brings forward a man and a woman that they would like to have honored. We have their bios, we review them, and then we actually vote as a board to make that decision.
Mm-hmm.
So this year we had a lot of great nominees, as we do every year, but we really felt like we came up with 2 of the best that really are doing a lot in the community, but are also well known. So when we say they fly under the radar, they're still known by a lot of people, but not known necessarily for all the wonderful things that they do.
Right.
And so we'll honor them at the banquet, and their friends and family will be there. It's our biggest fundraiser of the year, as I said. And it gives us a chance to get the word out about the Community Foundation to the 200-plus people that do attend.
Where is the event held?
This year it's at the Pinehurst Members Club.
Okay.
And tickets are available still for those that would like to attend. If you're interested in attending, you can contact Pam Wase, W-A-S-E, at First Bank, and her number is 910-725-6050. And we have a wonderful dinner. We try to move through the program pretty quickly so we can really focus on the people that we're there to honor. So you won't have to sit through a lot of boring speakers. We're cutting Frank down to just a few minutes.
Yeah.
And
Good move on your part.
Yeah.
So we got a little bit of an idea about how you select the honorees. How do you select the speakers?
Well, we give the honorees their choice. They
Okay.
each can have two, and typically
Okay.
it is someone that is a friend, in this particular instance, Frank, and then the other person or persons are usually family members that want to poke fun at mom and dad, and
Right.
this particular year, Hugh's grandchildren are doing it,
Mhm.
and I think Ann's children are doing it.
Wonderful.
So that's we allow the honorees to choose who they want to speak on their behalf.
Right. And it's an evening of good fellowship,
Yes.
good spirit, and so Frank, you're going to be speaking. And do you know who's speaking for Anne? You said one of her daughters, or
Her children.
okay.
Yeah.
I know one of their daughters. She's in college now, and she works part-time at the Pony Expresso.
Okay.
What a wonderful young lady. This is a kid that has all the right formulas, and she gets it probably directly from her mom, and it just screams when you see her. You know how you can just ascertain kids right away? You know, are they entitled, or are they out there for people? And just wonderful, wonderful parents, and I guess the apple doesn't fall so far from the tree.
Wonderful.
Yeah. So First Bank has, Andrew, I want to go back to you, has been, I guess, how do you all make decisions about the community projects that you decide to support? Because you've been at the forefront of a lot of that. Do you all get together and sit down each year and just assess?
That would
the
be
needs?
that would be a full-time job.
It would be, wouldn't
it would be, and I say that, and we're blessed to have so many people come to us and ask for help.
Right.
But there is a vetting process. We try to say yes to as many folks as we can, but there are a lot of requests, and we're a community bank. There should be, and
Right.
we love doing things in the community. Most are under the radar, but some are a little bit more high profile. You know, the First Bank stage at the Sunrise, we were
Right.
really honored to do that, and felt like, we're the only publicly traded company
I did
who's
not-
headquartered
I did know that.
in Moore County, and
Yeah.
so we're proud of that, to be headquartered in Southern Pines. So it just felt like a natural thing to do, to be involved with such a great organization as the Sunrise Theater.
Yeah, I thought it was genius, the marketing program that you had, where people would buy a brick for the stage, and I bought a brick.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
and I first came here in 1979, and I remember when Broad Street you had a few country stores on one side of the street, and on the east side of the street you had no stores, and now you have this beautiful field with the stage, and we drive clients all the time right down Broad Street, and they look over to the right before they get to the Sunrise Theater, and they go, what is going on here? And you guys, that has become the center of the entertainment and the community spirit that pours out into the streets in Southern Pines.
Yeah.
First Fridays.
Great to see all the kids using it, different organizations. And you're right. And what a vibrant downtown. We're
Yeah.
so blessed
Yeah.
to have it.
Yeah, I'm just happy I have a brick in the lower right corner.
look
I don't
for it.
care where.
Yeah.
Don't even look for it. It's just, I know it's there, and that's all that matters. Did the commitment that the bank has made to the Moore County schools has been pretty pervasive over the years?
Yeah, we're, again, blessed to have that relationship with the schools and with the county. We just feel like if we can do our part with the schools,
Right.
everybody benefits, right? Rising tides. If we can help, and we're hoping that a lot of these talented kids that you talked about, like Ann Friesen's daughter,
Yep.
decide to move back here.
Right.
And again, that's what a community bank should do.
Right. Frank will remember this, but you guys might not. Back in the 80s and the early 90s, in the summer times here, kids had nothing to do. They would hang out at the parking lot of the grocery store. Where Harris Teeter is now, kids got in trouble. There was just not a lot going on. Today, the spirit around here is so vibrant. The programs are so abundant. And the number of kids they have completely flipped the demographics of Moore County, and that's what you're speaking to.
That's right, and the influx of the military folks, and all the military businesses,
Right.
and all that. It's wonderful to see. I was walking down the street by the bank the other day, and there were literally 25 strollers.
Yeah. Baby.
At the First Baptist Church there, and then I walked a little further down, and there was another 20 at the downtown park, and that's really neat to see from a retirement type of community as it was, when I moved here 12 years ago. Just
it's not the
that
same.
short period of time.
It's not the same. Moore County is becoming. I mean, it's a great place to live, but it keeps changing. But it keeps getting better. It's not just a retirement community like you were
Not
referencing.
at all.
Frank, your kids, your children, and your grandchildren, most all of them have gone through the Moore County schools over the years.
One thing that I would point out about First Bank is if you've been down Morganton
Yeah.
Road on a Saturday, you see the field there, the soccer field, and it's just packed with children.
Right.
You're talking about just untold number. And a lot of them are military. But First Bank had a big part to play in that.
I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, they had a bit. They are the bank that had the big, I guess, sponsored and built it. But I mean, I don't even know how many fields are out there, Bill.
Right.
But like now, they have kids coming in from Raleigh and Greensboro and Charlotte playing travel soccer because I have grandchildren who play there on Saturday morning.
Right.
And that was impressive because people, unless you have kids and go out there, you'd never know what a park they've built.
Right.
The downtown, you see a lot probably, but you need to check that out.
Huh. I did not know that. When did that field go in?
That was pre-Andrew.
It was
but my
pre-Andrew?
kids played a lot of soccer games there.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We let's come back in the third set. I have a couple of questions to ask you. Want to talk a little bit about Ann Friesen as well and her role with Friend to Friend. And again, talk a little bit more about Hugh Bingham. The upcoming event is October the 24th, sponsored by the Moore County Community Foundation, honoring the Man and Woman of the Year for 2019. We'll be right back.
Well,
Welcome back to our final set of All Things Moore County. October 24th at the Pinehurst Members Club will be the Moore County Community Foundation's Man and the Woman of the Year Awards, given at their annual dinner. And we're speaking with Russell Suggs from the Community Foundation, Andrew Lyons, the Senior Vice President at First Bank, and attorney Frank Thigpen of Thigpen and Jenkins, all people who have a direct relationship either to the foundation or to the people being honored on the 24th. Russell, we get a chance to sit here and talk to a lot of different people from a lot of different organizations. The Moore County Community Foundation doesn't seem to have the same visibility as some of the other organizations that we've had on the show, and I'm glad we have you on. But you guys do fly under the radar?
I think we do, and it's very similar to those that we honor. We're not out there pushing ourselves. We're quietly working underneath the surface of Moore County to get monies to organizations that truly deserve it. We had some great honorees this year. I think one of them that comes to mind is Northern Moore Family Resource Center up in Robbins. They have a wonderful school up there, Hope Academy, which is a preschool. They currently have about 45 kids in the preschool up there, and we were able to give them funds. This summer they had a reading program for those kids that were not reading at the appropriate grade level, and so our funding helped provide the meals for those kids when they came in this summer. There are a number of always glad to help the Boys and Girls Club because they do such wonderful things. So there are a lot of organizations that people know about that we do support. Red Cross,
Right.
Friend to Friend, so many. But then there are a lot of organizations that also fly under the radar that are doing such wonderful things with drug and alcohol treatment. And we're able to work with a new organization this year that are taking young men, and these are typically young men that haven't quite found their way, and there's some retired military individuals that are mentoring them in business,
Mm-hmm.
and how to dress, and how to speak, and how to act in public, and they've really done some wonderful things.
What age group kids are you talking about?
These are kids that they're getting them as early as about 8 through high school and bringing them up, during that period of their adolescence and teenage years when things can go wrong for them. And their organization is called Men of Distinction. This was a chance that we took on them.
Anthony McCauley.
Anthony.
He was on the
Oh,
show a
yeah.
few weeks ago.
Great.
He's a wonderful person.
Right.
And when I spoke to Anthony, I said, Anthony, you really don't have a track record.
Right.
And so we're willing to take a chance. We're going to give you some seed money this year
Right.
to help you get started doing, well, he had been working at it, but to give you the chance to do a few things that you had not done before. And they've really stepped up and do a great job with those kids. We're watching it to see, will we up it for next year? And so that's what we do. We monitor everyone, vet everyone. And as I said, we gave out a little over $107,000 in Moore County to 31 organizations this past year.
So that's what people need to hear, because anyone listening to the show might listen and hear about the Moore County Community Foundation and say, what's in it for me, type of thing. But you do identify organizations that help raise people up.
That's right. But we have a grants committee. We receive very formal grant applications, and our committee reviews them,
Mm-hmm.
and some are rejected because they don't meet our criterion in that they may not be physically sound and or they may not be doing the things that they say they're doing. But we don't just put the money in their general fund. Every year it's a different opportunity to do something maybe with school kids that particular organization needs to help. But each time they pick a new type of event that they are wanting to fund and not just put the money into the general budget for that organization.
So when we say on the show that Moore County is a county that always seems to provide nets to kids from the time they enter preschool to the time they get out of high school, you're one of those organizations that
We
help
are.
provide those nets.
We are, and it's primarily focused on health care. The majority of our funds go to health care, both for young and for old.
Right.
It may be the mobile dental care that St. Joseph's provides. We help support that. So a lot of times it may not be for kids, and it may be for health care for others, but we do particularly follow what our children are doing and try to bring them up so that they'll be productive citizens. And in fact, we've always had them come to our events so that they can see what adults do in terms of charitable work.
Russell's he's talking about something we talk about a lot on the show, and that's the mentoring and the
Right.
coaching that a lot of these organizations in Moore County do provide for kids, especially kids who maybe don't come from a traditional family, single parents. What Anthony provides, males of distinction, role model for these kids who maybe have no male figure in their family and don't know who to pattern themselves after.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, that helped me because I didn't know, and now I do know.
Sure.
And it makes me feel good to know that we have some of the organizations you're mentioning who have been on the show, and we should probably connect and do that in the future because we want to give these organizations a voice. That's the way this show has evolved, I guess, over time. When I first met Ann Friesen, Andrew, with Friend to Friend, she came on and she was just an outstanding speaker. She sat in the chair you're sitting in, and she went on and talked about the agency that she heads up, and we've gotten to know her and how selfless she is. But interestingly enough, every time she comes on the show, she speaks less and less. And because she brings with her a lot of the young people in her organization that she's coaching and mentoring, and she is more than happy to pass the baton and let them speak and be center and forefront.
I'm not surprised at all.
Crazy, huh?
Well, she's just a humble person. Right. I got to know Ann a little bit. We both served on the Moore County Chamber board for a few years, and then this past year, I was fortunate enough to be asked to be the treasurer, friend to friend. So Ann and I are in contact, 3 or 4 times a week because she's on top of everything and keeping me in line. But that organization is doing incredible things, Bill, and it's her leadership. But as you said, the team that she has assembled there, just an incredible staff, and not one of these topics that people like to talk about. What she does and what they do, what Friend to Friend does, but unfortunately, it's very necessary and helps people at a time when they need the help the most. And we couldn't have a better leader than Ann Friesen.
And you're talking mostly about women or moms with kids. We've had her on talking about human trafficking.
Yep.
And
happens here in Moore County.
A lot. And even though the numbers, rise statewide, we said to each other, she said to me, Bill, if we weren't here doing the work that we're doing, imagine where those numbers would be.
That's right.
And so many people are unaware, and then so many people in Moore County hide their head in the sand. You've got the southern portion, you've got the northern portion of the county, and you're in the southern portion of the county, and everything feels good, and the stores are nearby, and you can grab a latte somewhere. It's not the case everywhere.
That's correct. And, also helping folks from other counties, too. I mean, that's the thing about Friend to Friend. They'll help anyone that needs it.
She has assembled a great organization, and I actually know some people who have been involved, who had to get involved in Friend to Friend at a time of need, who are now productive citizens, who are have sort of reinvented themselves and move forward. So I applaud you guys for Ann, and she'll be very humble in accepting. You go, why are you doing this?
That's right.
Right?
Yep, that's her.
Again, the event is this coming October 24th at the Pinehurst Members Club, and tickets are for sale. It's open to the public.
That is correct.
Okay. And
it's a dinner.
It's a dinner?
Yeah.
So people can, I don't know what's the seating capacity, do you know?
Probably 225, and we'll sell out, so.
Yeah, I'm sure.
We'd be glad to have people jump in early if they can.
Yeah. I would love a chance to talk to you down the road about maybe using the show to feature some of the people, to increase people's awareness of some of the organizations that you work with that all help. And Frank, it's good that you came in to see us and talk about this. Does Hugh know did he ask you to speak, or are you?
I tried
to
encourage you to ask Andrew because I thought he'd do a super job, but no, he asked me to do it. Speaking about Friend to Friend, the thing I've seen that's so important about that, just briefly, Bill, is people don't understand that. Take a female who's suffered maybe abuse, and she has nowhere to go, and Friend to Friend provides a shelter, an unknown location, to protect, and that's so important. In my practice through the years, I've seen that many, many times. So thank God we do have Ann, and we have that organization. Thank you, Andrew, for working in it as well.
It's my pleasure. It just shows you how smart Hugh is to chosen you to speak on his behalf over me.
Is that right?
That's right.
Yeah, thank you.
You guys have helped to drive home the point, that Moore County is a great place to live, and there are great people and there are great leaders in this community who are trying to help. I've never lived in a community that's so giving, and there's so many people who want to rally. And you said something when you moved here from Virginia, kind of the same thing. You've never seen, when you were living up there, a little more anonymity, not so much cohesiveness.
Yeah. First thing I noticed when I moved here was the open arms of the people that were here.
Right.
And just welcoming. Because a lot of these folks could live anywhere. And they choose to live here. And, good many of them give back, and what a jewel we have here.
Yeah. And pretty soon you're going to be an empty nester as your kids get older and
geez.
start going to college. What are you going to do?
I'll be working, I'll tell you that much. 3 in college at the same time, Bill.
Is that right?
That's right. That was one of the things that Hugh said, so how old are you and how old are your kids? And he did the math. He said, that's great, Andrew.
Yeah.
He knew I'd be working for a while.
You got a couple of hard years ahead of you.
That's
huh?
exactly right.
Well, we want to thank the Moore County Community Foundation for coming in and speaking. It's a privilege to have you guys here. We hope you have a sellout. I have a feeling you will. And anything we can do to help down the road, we'd love to.
Well, thank you for having us on, Bill.
Thanks,
I
Russell.
really appreciate it.
Frank, thank you. Andrew, thank you guys. This is All Things Moore County. Have a great week.